So when we talk about transport, there's two questions really. There's what transport system do we want, and how we're going to pay for it. And that second one is the one that causes all the problems. It's a fundamental mistake in transport has been thinking about it with a market mentality. And it was really good to hear Charlotte talking about that shift, that chaos of different ticketing systems, of bus companies racing and overtaking each other to pick up the passengers. We've seen it in the rail, we've seen it across the board. Transport is an enabler of everything else, so it does need planning, but it needs long-term planning, and that also means the funding of the people who are going to do the long-term planning, and at the moment too much of that is in short-term competitive contracts and competitions. So it's a bit like you're going to set off on your holidays and you get to the bottom of the road and you think, shall I turn left and right, and you don't know where you're going. So we really have to get to grips with this vision of the destination. We're locked into a car way of thinking. The planet is in the middle of a climate catastrophe. We get all proud when we spend a few £100,000 on a bit of cycling infrastructure. We pat ourselves on the back, and then in the budget, the Chancellor of the Exchequer then gloriously announces proudly, and 27 billion for tarmac. And there's a mismatch there, and I think everybody else can see that mismatch. And that 27 billion, let's call it for what it is. It's a subsidy for private cars. And you can't level up with concrete. We've got this idea that it's okay to transport an 80 kilo human, on average. I'm a wee bit heavier, I'll concede that. An 80 kilo human in a 1500 kilo vehicle. And then you leave that 1500 kilo vehicle lying around all day, and then you get back in it to drive home. I'm an engineer, the thermodynamics of that just don't work, it's not efficient. 48% of people on a lot of the journeys up here don't even have access to a car. So we talk about reopening the economy, but that economy, or large parts of it, are closed to half the population anyway. So we've got to get our mindset where we want to move people, not vehicles. So what would that look like? Well, it means mobility as a service, which anyone in the transport profession knows about, perhaps the wider public don't. But basically, you get one of these and you get everything on it. And if you want to drive, and I represent huge rural areas where accept people are going to need to drive, you want to go to town, great, you can book your parking space so you know it's sorted, so you're not circling around town, creating traffic problems, trying to find somewhere to park. You want to just go somewhere, and say, well, actually, if you cycle, this is where you can go. Or you can walk there and hire a bike for that stage of your journey. Or you can get on a metro or get on a bus. And by the way, your phone will take care of the ticketing and calculate the cheapest fare for you all the way. We want truly integrated travel so that you can take your bike for the first mile and the last mile and use perhaps a bus or a train for that intermediary part, or a e-scooter. We need to change the way we fund things. The biggest barriers to things like cycling, people worry their bike is going to get nicked, and understandably so. So let's invest in that. Let's invest in showers at work, because they are part of the transport system, but we don't see it like that, and the accounting doesn't account for it in that way. What we want to get to is rock-up transport, where you can just decide, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere, the cinema, whatever, to a meeting, boomf, get on this thing, it'll say, these are your options, so that it's as easy as walking out the front door and turning the key in your car.